Hi, everybody. It's Richard Van Camp here. I'm a proud Clecho Dene from Fort Smith, Northwest Territories. I live in Edmonton, Alberta with my family, and I've written 24 books in 24 years. I work in just about every genre. I went to the Inalkin International School of Writing in Penticton, and then I went to the University of Victoria, where I received my undergrad, and then I went to UBC, where I received my master's degree. I work with 12 different publishers, I think. I work with some of the greatest editors of our time. I work with so many wonderful artists that are my heroes. I am the luckiest person I know. I'm grateful every day that I get to do what I do. And what I want to do today is I want to give you something very special. And I wish this is something that somebody gave me when I first started writing when I was about 19 years of age. Number one, I want to teach you how to design a character. Now, they say that every time a reader or every time an author is reading, they're actually working. And I think that that's true. Every time a reader is or a writer is watching great TV or great movies, they're actually working. We're all downloading process all the time. Anytime that somebody is eavesdropping, they're actually working because they're starting to develop their inner ear for dialogue. When you really pay attention to how people talk to each other, you find that we interrupt each other all the time. Many of us already know what we're going to say in response before we've even finished listening. We're very complicated creatures, and I'm going to make things just a little bit simpler for you. Now, this was based on a workshop that the late Jim Northrup used to teach. I was lucky enough, I think I was at Michigan State University. I just happened to be one of the writers down there for a conference, and Mr. Jim Northrup was giving a workshop about characterization, and I sat in it and I took notes. I've since added to it. I've tweaked it. I did ask Jim if it was okay if I used and shared his knowledge, and he said go for it. I was really sad that Mr. Northrup passed away. He wrote one of the funniest short stories that I've ever read. It's called Goose Goose, and I think it's in his book The Res Follies. But I just wanted to honor him and carry on his workshop. This is how you design characters. So number one, you have to think about the name of your character. Names have power, and names can hold absolute mystery for what's about to happen to a character. I'll give you an example. So you think about Harry Potter. Is Harry a Potter? Harry's not a Potter. Harry is a master magician, right? So his name is a lie. Just like his inheritance is a lie. He was told many things about his parents. He was told they passed away in a car crash. And you learn very early on that actually that's not the truth. Somebody told him a fib. Actually, his parents their lives were stolen from them by a gentleman named Voldemort. And I think most of you won't know this already. When you think about Twilight, the book, the main character's name is Bella. And when you think about what Bella means beautiful. Now, the main character, I read the series, the main character, Bella, does not feel beautiful at all. She's clumsy. She doesn't dance. She doesn't go to any sports. She's always bumping into things, very awkward. And yet, who thinks that she is the most beautiful creature in the world? Well, there's Edward the vampire, and there is, what's that guy's name who never wears a shirt, 4 movies, no shirt? Oh yeah, Jacob. So Edward and Jacob thinks that she's absolutely the most beautiful creature in the world, on the planet, in the universe. So sometimes names, you can give your character a contrarian name, an opposite name of what they think they are, but maybe what other people perceive them to be. So we have name, age. I'm going to ask you to write a story about a character who is not the age you are now. Sometimes when you are older than the character that you're writing about, you have the gift of memory and you have the gift of knowing better now, sometimes in your 40s or your 30s or your 20s, than when you were in your teens. Sometimes you've got a greater perspective on what was really happening with various agendas with different characters. There's name, age, gender. Gender, you can have a character that is a boy, you can have a character that's a girl, you can have a character who's both, you can have a character who is neither. Remember, gender is a construct. I'm going to ask you to consider skin. Some of us are fair, some of us are dark, some of us have got scars, some of us have got tattoos, some of us are speckled with freckles and dimples, some of us have been burned, some of us have been cut. I want you to really think about having your characters all look differently. There's name, age, gender, skin, eyes, different colored eyes, right? Never forget There are some people whose eyes change color when they get angry. I never forgot that. I met a lady once, one of our writing students at UBC, her eyes changed color with the seasons, and I never forgot about that. There's height. I have several comics out, 2 comics out actually, with my dear friend Mr. Steve Sanderson. Steve's an incredible artist. He's incredible everything. He is a writer, artist. There's nothing he can't do. He's 6'11". He was still growing when he was 24. And I love touring with Steve because when you're 6'11", he says everybody becomes a kid around a giant. And he also calls it the carnival effect. He has the ability to cast a spell. Everyone's in a carnival when a giant walks into the room. Language. Some of us, English is actually not our first language. Some of us can speak 3 languages. Some of us can speak 4. But I really want you to think about what language can convey. So, for example, I was told once, I was in Hartley Bay, that the Tsimshian, their word for hummingbird is hair stealer. Because hummingbirds, of course, love to go around and grab any old fur that's laying around, any old spider webs, and they're gathering all that for their nests. So language, of course, holds power, it holds wisdom, it holds teachings. And it's really important that you have your characters speaking differently from each other. You have education. There's different kinds of education. I'll give you an example. One of the writing assignments I like to do with students is I say, if you had an uncle who said, I haven't been the best uncle ever. I missed all your birthdays. I missed Christmas. You know what? I'm going to teach you how to pick any lock in the whole wide world. That's a whole different kind of education, right? You think about people that are out on the land all the time, right? They're very in tune. You think about farmers or weavers or people who are out of the cities. They have a different kind of education than what we do. Now, I live in Edmonton, Alberta, a city of 1 million people. Different kind of education to get through each day. You think about income. What happens if you have a character, actually a lady I went to school with just won $55 million. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine the good you can do in this world if you are very generous and kind, right? And she is absolutely, I'm sure she's going to do a lot of good, and she's going to help a lot of people and help her community with $55 million, right? So think about income, think about quick money. I always say, what would you do if you and 3 friends were walking down the road and there was a hockey bag filled with $50,000 cash? Would you keep it a secret? Would you take it to the police? Would you report it to the authorities? Would you give it to your parents? Or would you try and keep it a secret? What would you do with 3 of your closest friends, right? Very interesting to see what happens. Location, because we're all from different walks of life, because I was raised in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, I have my own different ways of conduct, my own different ways of respect, my own different ways of speaking, my own different ways of cooking, and my own beliefs. And so put that into your characters. Give them different locations that they grew up in and see what happens. There's habits, there's hobbies, there's personality, there's morality, there's goals. My friend Chris Labonte, formerly of Douglas and McIntyre, he said a long time ago this is not my line, Richard, but it's a great line. He said, all great literature is about a compelling character who has a problem. All great literature is about a compelling character who has a problem. So who's your main character? Who's going to help them? Who's going to stand in their way? And most importantly, what's the problem? What do they want? So that's where goals come in. Give your characters fears. You think about Indiana Jones. What's the one thing Indiana Jones is always afraid of? Snakes. What's the one thing you can count on in every single Indiana Jones novel, video game, and movie? Snakes, right? Use their fears against them. Have them confront their fears. Secrets. Give your characters secrets. Give your characters faith. Give your characters a history. There's a reason certain characters don't like each other. Explore that history of why they maybe best friends no longer speak to each other, or maybe old enemies actually have to put their differences aside to confront something together. I love stories like that. Give your characters anniversaries. There's birthdays. There's anniversaries for different things that have happened. Give your characters hopes. Give your characters issues. How you think about, when you're in high school, you say characters are designed by what other characters say about them, what they look like, how they dress. mostly importantly, what they say about themselves. That's also true. I think also another thing is give your characters regrets. That's very powerful, is when you have a character with regrets. So I've given you maybe 25 different things. So don't forget name, age, gender, skin, eyes, height, language, education, income, location, how they talk, family, friends, right? Give them an interesting family. Give them very interesting friends. Think about habits. Think about hobbies, personality, morality. Can they be trusted as speakers? Goals, fears, secrets, history. I've given you maybe 25 things you can think of. The truth is, there are actually hundreds of different things you can do to design your characters. And I want you to have fun. I want you to write the stories of your dreams. Remember, we do need conflict in fiction. Never be afraid to create some really bad people trying to stop your good person. Or maybe your main character is a bad person and they have really good people trying to help them. There are no rules. The key is to be a great writer. I think you need to read everything, read the canon of your heart, read stuff that just lights your heart on fire. I think you need to watch a lot of movies, because when you're watching a movie, you're learning so many things. You're learning characterization, the 3-act structure, etc., etc., etc. I think great TV. We're living in a time of incredible television. Watch a lot of great TV. It's an exciting time to be alive, where there's just so much content out there. I think that you need to be nosy. You need to be a little bit bossy. Never be afraid to ask for help with your writing. If you're working on something about a firefighter, show your story to as many firefighters as possible, because chances are each one will help you. Never be afraid to ask for help. So my name is Richard Van Camp, and it is a pleasure to be here today. Masi Cho, and in my language, that means thank you very much. Happy writing. Remember, they say a page a day is a book a year. A page a day is a book a year. You know what? I heard that years ago, and that always made sense to me. Okay, take care. All the best. Happy writing. Bye.